Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're breaking down House of the Dragon. The trailer for Season 2 Episode 6 is now out, and the seeds of the future are falling into place. Throughout this video, we're going to break it all down and go through what's likely going to happen in the episode. Obviously, this will include some spoilers from the book as we talk about what's likely going down. If you enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up and bend the knee by hitting subscribe. With that out of the way though, huge thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into House of the Dragon.
It's never been attempted before. To claim a dragon, you must also be prepared to die. Perhaps the gods will favor us.
If Daemon prevails in the Riverlands, I no longer have the numbers to challenge him.
My uncle is a challenge I welcome, if he dares face me.
You have the arrogance of youth. Have the indignities of your childhood not yet sufficiently been avenged?
You must see in me a ruler and the symbols of authority, the shield and the sword.
We will still never match the strength of the Green Armies. We need Daemon.
I must now proceed as if I stand alone.
It is my fault that you have forgotten to fear me.
Okay, so the trailer is very heavily based around the idea of claiming new dragons for the Blacks, which is a major part of the book. Throughout the season, we've been setting up the dragon seeds, which is where we left things in episode 5. There, Rhaenyra and Jace were looking to the records and wondering if there were other Targaryens out there. Now, we've actually met some dragon seeds in the series so far, with Ulf White, Hugh Hammer, Adam and Alan all making appearances. Alan, now these are brought into the Blacks and used as a way to bolster their dragon riders. Adam and Alan are obviously Velaryons as well, so it all kind of works out with this big family affair thing. A huge shout out to Think Story for pointing out that in the Team Black trailer, you can see Ulf, Alan and Hugh dining with Rhaenyra, Jace, Baelor. Introduced in the book during the middle of the war, we learn about how the royals had a number of bastards out there. House Targaryen had ruled Dragonstone for more than 200 years. Since Lord Aenar Targaryen first arrived from Valyria with his dragons. Though it had always been their custom to wed brother to sister and cousin to cousin, young blood runs hot, and it was not unknown for men of the house to seek their pleasures amongst the daughters and even the wives of their subjects, the small folk who lived in the villages below the Dragonmount, tillers of the land and fishers of the sea. Indeed, until the reign of King Jaehaerys, the ancient right to the first night had been invoked mayhaps more oft on Dragonstone than anywhere else in the Seven Kingdoms, though good Queen Alysanne would surely have been shocked to hear it. Now these people are highly sought after, and the Blacks even put forth rewards to try and get people to come forward. It was to them that Prince Jacaerys turned at the urging of his fool, vowing that any man who could master a dragon would be granted lands and riches and dubbed a knight. His son would be ennobled, his daughters wed to lords, and he himself would have the honour of fighting beside the Prince of Dragonstone against the pretender Aegon II Targaryen and his treasonous supporters. Now the work tells us about all the dragons that they gain from this too. Dragons are not horses. They do not easily accept men upon their backs, and when angered or threatened, they attack. Munken's True Telling tells us that 16 men lost their lives during the sowing. 3 times that number were burned or maimed. Steffon Darklyn was burned to death while trying to mount the dragon Seasmoke. Now, Seasmoke used to belong to Laenor, and he's a dragon that we've seen in the series before. Darklyn has also been Rhaenyra's Lord Protector throughout the series, and it shows how dangerous this stuff can be. Now, I believe that Seasmoke's who we see coming out of the dragon pit in the teaser, and we also get a reaction shot of Rhaenyra looking shocked. This could be her seeing Darklyn get killed, which is why everyone rushes away. The trailer has edited things to look a bit confusing though, as we have several shots of her approaching the end of the path of the dragon pit. However, one moment has her going to Syrax, which you see her flying out on later. The other has her going to Seasmoke, which I believe is when Darklyn will be killed. And this fate is also shared by Gorman Massey, who too is a member of the Black Council. Lord Gorman Massey suffered the same fate when approaching Vermithor. A man called Silver Denys, whose hair and eyes lent credence to his claim to be descended from a bastard son of Maegor the Cruel, had an arm torn off by Sheepstealer. As his son struggled to staunch the wound, the cannibal descended on them, drove off Sheepstealer, and devoured father and sons alike. Now then goes on, also sorry for all the book reading, just giving you an insight to what's going to happen, and how Seasmoke and some of the others are tamed. Yet Seasmoke, Vermithor and Silverwing were accustomed to men and tolerant of their presence. Having once been ridden, they were more accepting of their riders. Vermithor, the old king's own dragon, bent his neck to a blacksmith's bastard, a towering man called Hugh Hammer, or Hard Hugh, whilst a pale-haired man-at-arms named Ulf the White for his hair, or Ulf the Sot for his drinking, mounted Silverwing, beloved of good Queen Alysanne. And Seasmoke, who had once born Laenor Velaryon, took unto his back a boy of 10 and 5 known as Adam of Hull, whose origins remain a matter of dispute amongst historians to this day. So that's kind of discussing what Rhaenyra is talking about in the beginning of the trailer when we see her at Dragonstone. She says it's never been attempted before, and it actually has the potential to backfire. As we saw with Maelys's head being paraded through King's Landing, the small focusing that the dragons aren't gods. There was an idea that the Targaryens and the Velaryons were as well, and this is why they were able to ride dragons. It's also what made them the rulers of the land, and why people refuse to stand up to them. Though technically the ones they're recruiting are descended from the blood of the dragon, it also has the potential to make the Targaryens seem more human. Now Rhaenyra's also going to have to call forth multiple dragons, and in the teaser we see her announcing this at the Black Council. Coming across the painted table, she says she's going to have to find more riders. We can also see Corlys in the wider shot of the table with him accepting the hand of the queen position. The chair is in the same position where the greens have it as well, highlighting how the hand is always close at hand. Now later on in the teaser we see him looking at the table, and I think this is probably in the build up to him accepting it. He's not wearing the pin at this point and probably looking over the table while contemplating if he's going to accept it. Now we also see Daemon at what's likely Harrenhal talking to someone who resembles Alice Rivers. You can kind of see the side of her forehead for a split second, and I did go back and forth over whether this was actually Alice or someone with long dark hair. They do appear to be similar, but it could also be someone else who's part of Daemon's visions. I do kind of hope we get away from Daemon going about Luigi's mansion for a whole episode, as personally I think it's getting a bit repetitive and they're kind of taking away from the pacing of his character. It does seem like they're doing another though, as we see him approaching the Iron Throne at the end of the teaser. This is similar to the dream that kickstarted the 4th episode of the season, and I kind of hope we see his brother at some point. They might do the return of Millie Alcock again, but yeah, just kind of slowing stuff down and hitting us over the head every episode with the same message. Just my opinion, but let me know what you think and if you like this thing every single episode. Either way, he's forging an army out in the Riverlands, which is really starting to worry Criston. This is something I pulls from the book with it saying, "Meanwhile, the seeds Jacaerys Velaryon had planted on his flight north had begun to bear fruit, and men were gathering at White Harbour, Winterfell, Barrowton, Sisterton, Gulltown, and the Gates of the Moon. Should they join their strength to that of the Riverlords assembling at Harrenhal with Prince Daemon, even the strong walls of King's Landing might not be able to withstand them," Sir Criston warned the new Prince Regent. Now we see him at King's Landing looking at Alicent and can catch the back of her head to the right. Things were frosty when we last left things, but they're kind of in a toxic cycle. Even the first time we saw them together at the start of the season, that was ended by her saying it won't happen again. It's kind of like that guy who writes about how they're unsubscribing because you've ruined the videos now you've started appearing on camera, but don't let the door hit you on the way back, mate. MT's just dropped an hour and 40-minute long breakdown of Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's the best video on the channel. Shabao, you're back! Anyway, from here we cut to the Green Council, which is whittled down to just a few members. We can see Larys there at the foot of the table, which is his favourite place to sit, and Jasper and Aemond at the top. This teaser kinda has him turning his bedbound brother, and also Alicent discussing how he did it for revenge due to all the bullying that Aegon gave him as a kid. He also made fun of him at the Cock Inn, and the guy's the reason that he's now half-baked. Not in that way. Now we can see him also pressing down on his chest, which causes Aegon to exhale in agony. Fuck's sake. It adds a new dimension into the series, as this is something that was never in the book. All we had was the Greens seeming cool, calm and collected, but the divide is really fascinating. Aemond always believed he should rule, whereas Daemon never betrayed his brother. Aemond clearly has. They are definitely playing the pair off as opposites, which we've seen throughout Daemon's dreams. Aemond actually also welcomes the challenge of his uncle, and this is something that pulls from the work. Supremely confident in his own prowess as a warrior and the might of his dragon Vhagar, Aemond was eager to take the battle to the foe. "The whore on Dragonstone is not a threat," he said. "No more than Rowan and these traitors in the Reach. The danger is my uncle. Once Daemon is dead, all these fools flying our sisters' banners will run back to their castles and trouble us no more." Now this idea of him challenging him is then mirrored in Daemon out at Harrenhal. We watch him going down to the rocks and approaching the Weirwood Tree. This backs out onto the God's Eye, which is a location that Aemon and Daemon eventually fight at. Now it is possible that he's leaving on Caraxes, who we see in this shot, or they may be setting up something else. In the book, we know Daemon went to the tree and waited there for 2 weeks for Aemon to arrive. He sliced at it in his boredom, and this could be him starting off this ritual before their battle goes down. I don't believe it'll happen in this season, as we're still pretty early, but it could be laying the seeds for what's to come down the line. Now everyone's having to arm up, including Rhaenyra. We see her picking up a sword, which likely belongs to one of her ancestors. We know that it can't be Visenya's, but I think that she's mimicking her idol. The picture of Visenya in the book in episode 5 had her holding one, and Rhaenyra knows she's gonna have to fight. This is something she wrestled with last week, and she hated that her father never had her trained in the ways of battle. So this is her potentially cementing the idea that she has to pick up the sword. Now we also see the Lannister forces going out to a castle. We get a lot of shots of this, and though we don't know the exact location, it is probably Golden Tooth. Jace also says to Rhaenyra that they need Daemon, and it's possible that when we see Syrax flying out, she's going out to Harrenhal. Potentially, she picks up the sword while wondering if she's going to have to fight him before then heading out there. As we know, they're unsure where his loyalties lie, and there is the potential that she's going out to meet him. Now we later see Rhaenyra and Mysaria overlooking the sea, akin to what we get here. The pair often talk at these locations on the island, and they're probably discussing what her spy's doing out in King's Landing. Now later on in the teaser, we see a group of common folk mobbing Alicent and Helaena at the Sept. It's possible that Alinda might have caused civil unrest, and they might be rioting. I didn't mention this in our big video, but I do wonder if Alinda went specifically to that girl because it's someone Aegon assaulted. Potentially, she could tell the people what the king did and how Alicent tried to cover it up. This might cause some civil unrest and for people to go after the queens when they're at their most vulnerable. We obviously don't have answers to what Alinda was doing, but it could potentially tie in with the dragon seeds. Now we also know that the dragon seed nettles won't be in the show. It's unfortunate as she's one of the best characters in the book, but they're completely skipping over her. Now because of this, I think they might be combining her with Rhaena, who we see out in the Vale of Arryn. It's possible that she claims the dragon at this point, and then they can have her go on a similar arc to Nettles. Think Story also pointed out that you can see a little head of head there, which is likely Joffrey. Potentially she's protecting him from a dragon, and in doing this she might end up claiming him. Also, not that Joffrey, eh? Either way, that wraps up the trailer, and apologies for being so book heavy early on. I do think there's a lot to talk about. We just kind of have to go through the dragon seeds, and with 3 episodes left, yeah, the stuff's beginning to mount up. I'd obviously love to see you for our breakdown on Sunday, and also make sure you leave your thoughts below on what you think's going to happen in the episode. Please drop a like on the video, and if you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society, then please click the join button. You'll get early access to videos every week, and it massively helps out the channel and really means a lot to us. If you want to get some heavy spoilers merch, we've also got our t-shirt line located just below the video that will let you pick up our Dragons, Drama and Destiny shirt, Greens and Black Swan, Theory Time stuff, Marvel tees, Sith Happens and more. We drop new designs on there all the time too, so definitely keep an eye out, and thank you if you bought one. Our sales are going crazy at the moment and we really appreciate it because it just makes everything at the channel a little less stressful, so thank you guys. Now if you want something else to watch, you've got our breakdown of the latest episode of House of the Dragon on screen right now. Lots of stuff to talk about, we try to go as in-depth as possible, and yeah, make sure you watch it 5 times, or watch 10 minutes of it, stop it, then start it again, because I think it counts as another view. So thanks a lot for all your work, mate. You really helped us out, and I hope you have a great week as well. The world's getting a bit scary, but yeah, you take care of yourself, and I'll see you Sunday, mate. Goodbye.